Hello all, welcome to study 64 of the Solving Studies to Improve Chess Calculation series. This study is another one from Vladimir Korolkov, the Russian, the Sovietic chess composer. This one is with few material, is basically a white to play and win with a bishop and pawn versus a knight and pawn, so a very interesting technical one. I hope you are going to enjoy it also. If you haven't to, I suggest you watch the guide so you are better prepared for the aims of the practice. And as always, after the countdown, I will come back again with the solution. And here we are. And as always, let's start with the first right move, which is bishop b6 exclamation mark. Well, at first, it's not easy to understand the position. Basically, in a normal situation, this should be a draw because we are even in material, knight against a bishop. But here, white pieces are able to dominate the knight. Nevertheless, we still have the problem of, in the end, we need to also promote our pawn, otherwise, it's impossible to win. And so the first try is to basically we want to have our king in g6 maybe, then push the pawn until h7, checking the king from the long diagonal, so the king is either checkmated or is forced to move away, and then we promote the pawn. But of course, first we need to restrict also the the activity of the black knight, because that is the problem with going with king g6. We are not restricting the knight, so the knight can come, and even if we push the pawn, well, it's going to be controlled by the knight. We still have the pawn on the black side, so it's really impossible for white to avoid the king to go to h7. And so if we attack the knight, then the knight can come to, let's say, for example, over here. We can't push the pawn on time, because if we go get the idea of restricting the king, then the knight just comes back. If the pawn over here it advances, well, the knight is controlling the square on the h7, on the h6. So as we know, the knight can sacrifice for the pawn, and then it will be a draw. So the idea doesn't work. So first thing we need to notice is, if we allow this knight to move, we are not going to be able to fight for the win. At the same time, we also need to control the escape from the king to a light square. So things are a bit complicated when we first analyze. Then we need to consider restricting the knight first. So, and when we restrict the knight, well, at this moment the knight can't leave the h1 square, but of course we are going to have to deal with king h7. Now it's white to play, and so here we need to find this simple technique. We are going to place our bishop on e3, so cutting the king from moving more close to our pawn, which forces at this moment, if the king goes back, we simply control now the light square. Notice that the knight is not able to move, so very fast we are able to control the position. We can even bring the king to win the knight, and so on. As black can't allow the king to go grab the knight, it needs to advance the pawn. Notice that if the pawn advances just one square, this allows our king to come very fast and grab the knight. And even if black tries to promote the pawn, it's not going to be able, because we are going to sacrifice the bishop on d2, and then just advancing the pawn, it's a very easy win for white. So here black is forced, basically, because it's almost in a zugzwang position, having no moves, no useful moves, is forced to advance the pawn to d5. Now it's white to play again, and we play king f6. So basically we are now threatening to approach the knight and win the knight, and at the same time we are not allowing the king to come. So we need to sacrifice, as black, the pawn. The bishop takes the pawn, and it's the only way for the king to come closer. And now we have a race until near the pawn, and here is a critical position, because now we need to know how to protect the pawn. We have two chances: bringing the bishop to e5 or to g1. Only one works. The correct one is going to e5, because if we bring the bishop to the other side, to g1, then black has this nice move, a sacrifice from the knight, because when the pawn takes the knight, it's a stalemate. the king can't move and it's not check. Notice that if we go to e5, it's almost over because next move we are going to win the knight, of course, or the king moves away and then we win the knight, and then it's very easy to promote because the promotion square is on the same color as our bishop, so it's a possible uh, good promotion and a win. Here, last resource is to sacrifice the knight with the idea we are forced to take with the pawn to win, because if we take with the bishop, then it's a stalemate again and a draw for black. In the end, it was an easy technique, but on the beginning was harder to find. But basically, we needed to find a way to first restrict the knight and only after work the capturing the knight and then working for the win. Hope you have enjoyed and see you in future studies. Bye bye.